You may not know right.
Folks, we got a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security news, SSI, and SSDI. Continue watching this video because you definitely don't want to miss out on this important stimulus check information. Action is being taken right now. Kevin McCarthy has just confirmed that a debt ceiling vote will likely happen on Tuesday, and this could save millions of Americans from huge financial changes from the federal government. Today, Kevin McCarthy announced that Congress will meet the deadline to raise the debt ceiling, acknowledging that no deal has been made by voting an agreement will be reached in time to prevent a government default. Janet Yellen raised the stakes in the marathon negotiations on Friday, when she provided the first hard deadline for when the government will be unable to pay down all of its obligations. June 5th, everybody, is a date. And asked if Congress can meet that deadline, McCarthy didn't hesitate to say yes. McCarthy vowed that he'll stick with the 72-hour rule, providing lawmakers the full 3 days to read the text of the legislation before they're asked to vote on it. McCarthy even said he's been in talks with Senate leaders about how much time they'll need to meet the June 5 deadline. And if a deal is reached tomorrow, that would set the stage for a House vote on Tuesday. McCarthy declined to name the barriers that remain as he and his deputies haggle with the White House negotiators over the last outstanding disagreements. But he said Republicans have not dropped the demand for permitting reform designed to eliminate regulatory hurdles to energy infrastructure projects. It's something Democrats have opposed for fear that it would degrade the environment at the expense of poor communities. McCarthy also confirmed that Republicans have been in discussions with Kyrsten Sinema and moderate Democrats on particular issues. The speaker outlined the rollout of any deal and saying he would make a vague announcement that would withhold the details of any agreement to allow lawmakers to read the bill before the press and public do. Still, people all over the nation are now wondering what will happen to lawmakers if their personal finances are not met. Based on Social Security Administration payment schedules, a June 5 default might actually protect beneficiaries from the potential delayed checks and direct deposits, because individuals receiving the payments are still going to receive the money, but maybe in a later date. If the Treasury Department is unable to successfully prioritize payments for Social Security, the consequences for these groups can be devastating. Beyond the initial group of payees, the Social Security Administration monthly payment calendar suggests that there is a bit more breathing room for other beneficiaries, providing that lawmakers reach a deal beforehand and the next beneficiary payments are not expected until June 14th. So, the debt default picture is also cloudy for individuals who rely on Medicare and Medicaid to pay for bills. But the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services said that these government health programs are defaulting on the national debt and would severely damage the crucial health care programs that millions of Americans rely on. And since Yellen was the first on a debt default, she said it could happen within a few days of June. And the short-term U.S. borrowing costs have soared as investors demand greater return for the risk that they won't be paid on time.
Will not raise taxes on anyone making over 400,000 grand. And I'll pay for it all, my proposals, by making the wealthy and big corporations pay just a little bit more. Like I said, do you think a trillionaire should be staying at 3%? Look, I'm a capitalist. If you can make a million or a billion, I said trillion, if you make $1 billion or $1 million, God love you. But just...
I can't believe this is happening, folks. Millions of Americans will see their monthly benefits disappear. And the White House has already confirmed that Joe Biden will be ending the national public health emergency. And so what this means is that many low-income households, seniors, will see a drastic change to the monthly benefits. Now, the White House has officially announced today that Joe Biden intends to end his public health emergency, and that means that many Americans can have to start paying for testing and treatment after the declaration ceases. So the White House folks said in a statement that this wind down would align with the administration's previous commitments to give at least 60 days notice prior to the termination of the public health emergency. So this has enabled the Americans to provide, and the government to provide Americans with tests and treatments at no charge, as well as other enhanced social safety net benefits, and to help the nation cope with the crisis and minimize its impact. So a senior vice president at the Family Foundation told CNN, people have to start paying some money for things that they didn't have to pay for during the emergency. That's the main thing people will start to notice. Most Americans covered by Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurance plans have been able to obtain tests at no cost during these times. Those covered by Medicare and private insurance have been able to get up to 8 at-home tests per month from retailers at no charge. But now, not anymore. Now, what does this mean for the big topic of the fourth stimulus check? Well, several of the most meaningful enhancements to public health assistance programs and things like that are about to end Most notably, states will now be able to start processing Medicaid, reterminations, and disenrolling residents who no longer qualify. They have until 14 months to review the eligibility of the beneficiaries. So as part of this crisis relief package that was passed in March, states are barred from kicking people off Medicaid during this public health thing. And now, Medicaid enrollment has skyrocketed to a record 90 million since then, and millions are expected to lose coverage once states are beginning to cut the rolls. A total of roughly 15 million people could be dropped from Medicaid when the continuous enrollment requirement ends. About 80 million folks would no longer qualify, but 6 million people would still be terminated even though they are still eligible. Many who are disenrolled from Medicaid, however, could qualify for other coverage. Food stamp recipients had been receiving a boost during this time. Now Congress increased the food stamps in 2020, but it's going to come down again when the Biden administration already expanded the boost in the spring of 2021. So that households already receiving the maximum amount and those who received only a small amount get a supplement of at least $95 a month. This extra assistance will end as of March, though several states have already stopped providing it. The White House weighed in today because House Democrats were concerned about voting against the Republican legislation to end a public health emergency, which is coming to a 4-4 vote. Now, the Biden administration argues the bills are unnecessary because it intends to end the emergencies anyways, and it noted that continuing declarations until mid-May may not come with restrictions. The White House said it would extend that some of the provisions are a one-time final order, and to ensure that everybody is winding down of key authorities in the state. One White House aide told CNN that it will be up to every member of the House to decide what is best for the district and how they will vote on the bill. So let's see what goes on with this. Will President Biden finally get the stimulus check passed, or will he just stand there and do nothing? We have a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI and SDI. A lot of information, folks, about the fourth stimulus payment that you should know. There's a ton of important news right here for you.
From Kentucky reserves, gentleman from Missouri is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to point out, by doubling the size of the IRS, working people of America, 85,000 more families in the state of Texas will face additional audits. These families who make less than $200,000 because of doubling of the IRS. I would like to yield 1 minute to the gentleman from Texas.
Gentleman from Texas.
Currently includes thousands of dollars in tax breaks and rebates for homeowners to upgrade their homes to be more energy efficient. Households with income below 80% of the area median can claim a rebate for the full cost of their appliance upgrades, up to a $14,000 cap. And households that fall between 80 and 150% of the area median income are eligible for the rebates. And the Rhode Island governor said the Rhode Island Division of Taxation has set up an online portal to give guidance to families in the state to take advantage of the rebate of $250 for up to 3 children. The governor wrote in a Twitter post, "We are working every day to ensure Rhode Islanders get relief now and into the future.